Hello and welcome to this Q&A. Apologies for my voice. Unfortunately, I've got a cold and that has affected my voice, but I promised to bring out the Q&A today and I like to keep my promises. So we will just power through it and get to all the questions, the great questions that you have asked in the last couple of weeks. So the first question comes from Luca2512 and he asked, what's your favorite airline livery, plane and airline? There are many great airlines out there, obviously. The ones that I have been traveling with so far, I would say Swiss International Airlines, the overall package, the quality of service and the quality of their product is really good. Plane, that's the A320. It's a really solid single aisle aircraft. Often, well, it depends, of course, on the airline, but normally it has enough space and is quite comfortable. Definitely has enough space for hand luggage. That can sometimes be a problem with the smaller aircraft types. So yeah, A320, that's probably my favorite aircraft type to travel with. And then the favorite airline livery, I think that's the tougher one. There are quite many really good liveries out there. If the question had come up like 6 months ago, I think there could only be one pick, and that would be the Etihad Airways livery, because that's a really great one. I don't know, I mean, Vietnam Airlines has a really nice livery. Asiana Airlines has a nice livery. I like the tail section of the China Airlines. Just to name a few. I don't know if I can really pick one specific livery, but those are a few ones. I think what generally is a livery that I like is a livery that is not totally white, but where they have integrated some nice coloring. I think that's something that I enjoy in a livery. Then my friend HWings0002 asked me, how did I get into aviation? Did I ever get into aviation? No, I'm generally interested in aviation. I guess, I mean, I've grown up in a family where we've been traveling always. I mean, we've always been traveling. I've been flying since I've been a baby. I mean, so far before I could even remember. I have many memories of going to the airport, picking up my dad coming back from a business trip or something like that. So I guess it's just something, you just grow up with it. And yeah, I think that's how I got into aviation. It's not really been an active choice. It's not been like saying, oh, this could maybe be interesting. It's just been there. And the aviation industry is really interesting. And so it's just been there. The next question kind of follows up on that, and that's from Inbred. I guess that's a pun. And he asked, did you ever want to work in the aviation industry? And if so, what job would you want? Despite me being really interested in the aviation industry, I've really never considered going into the aviation industry. It's never been a career path that I have thought about, even, let alone actively pursued. And it's just never been on my mind really to try that. I mean, if I had just to pick, the dream job and without thinking about anything else, then sure, why not ATC? Well, that could be fun. But having it as a hobby, just being something that it is my interest and that I read about, that I watch videos about, stuff like that, I'm happy with that. So no, I haven't really tried to work in the aviation industry, and I highly doubt that I will try in the future. The next question goes a little bit in a different direction, and that's from Mo Mashlab. And he asks, how much money have you spent on all airplane models so far? And there isn't really an answer to that because I don't know. We can make a very simple calculation. If we say that an 1 to 500 scale aircraft model averages at a price of about 30 euros, and I don't know how many aircraft models I have now. I've lost count again. But since my last count, I think it was 245 or something like that. And since then, I've again gotten way too many. So let's say I have 300 models now, which is not totally unrealistic. That would mean 9,000 euros. I try not to think about it because if that is really the money I've spent and it's far too much, yeah. I don't know what to say. I guess the only defense I have is that it's been over many, many years. So, yeah. I hope that answers your question. The next question comes from Joanna Janotta. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. I hope I've pronounced everybody's names correctly. Apologies if not. She asks, where do you get your plane models from? The majority of my aircraft models I do order online, and I do get them from Aviation Center Berlin. They have a really good store. They have a lot of aircraft models to choose from, so I can recommend them. Other than that, I mean, if I'm traveling, if I have the opportunity to go to a physical store, then I like to do that as well. But one physical store that I can recommend, if you ever have the chance to go to Munich Airport and you have a little bit of spare time, then try to go to the visitor center. That is alone already recommendable. They also have a really nice visitors terrace there. But they have a store there in the visitor center, which is really nice. But Aviation Center Berlin, the online store of them, that's definitely the one where I get most of my aircraft models from, and I can recommend them. I mean, I'm not endorsed by them in any way, but yeah, that's a really good store. And then we have Noah Samuelson, who has asked basically the same question as Joanna. Where do you get your aircraft models from? So that's already been answered. And then his second question is, what do you use for your model airport for tarmac and etc.? So as you may or may not know, I do now have a model airport, which I'm also making updates on. The next one is coming out this Wednesday. I got the tarmac is are some ground plates that are from Wings. They do the same ground plates of the same tarmac, also as foils. I can't really say which one is better because I only have the plates. But yeah, that's what I've been using. They're straight from Happer, and they're really nice. The only thing is that they only have the plates for basically the apron, so the airside and the taxiway, but they don't have the plates for the runway for some reason. They do have that for the foil, however. So if you want a runway and you want to have it in the same look as the rest of the airport, then probably the foil would be better. Then the next question comes from Adam Wang 24, and the question is Harper the best brand for plane models? Well, that is a really good question, Adam. It's a yes and it's a no, because it really depends on what you are looking for. If you're looking for 1 to 500 scale aircraft models, then it's difficult to get around Harper Wings, because they're definitely the most dominant aircraft manufacturer, or plane model manufacturer, I should rather say, in the segment. And the quality of their aircraft models is really good. But there are, of course, alternatives. There are other manufacturers like Sky 500 or Aero Classic, Hogan, which actually is a subsidiary of Harper Wings. But none of those have the variety of airlines. So in 1 to 500, the answer is probably yes. If you look at variety from the detailing, they are really good, but they are probably I guess you can't really say they're the best, because other manufacturers are also really good. I recently actually did a comparison between a Boeing 777-300 from Harper Wings and one 777-300ER from Sky 500. And I mean, they're identical aircraft models. The details should be identical, and they were in most cases, but not everywhere. And in the few cases where they weren't identical, I actually preferred the ones from Sky 500. So you could argue that Sky 500 is better than Harper Wings, but that would also, again, change from aircraft type to aircraft type. If you are looking for 1 to 400 scale models, then Harper is probably not the best. Not because of lack of quality, but again, because of lack of options or variation in aircraft models, because they don't make very many 1 to 400 scale. There are other manufacturers there that do many more. So, it's a really good question, and it's really tough to answer. 1 to 500 scale Harper is definitely up there in the top range, but it really depends on what criteria you look at to determine if they're the best or not. So I hope that kind of answers your question, even though I know I've kind of tried not to answer it. Yeah, I think that's the best answer I can give you. The next question comes from Aviation Lover 15, and the question is, will you buy custom models? Well, I would love to. I would really love to get some custom models, especially from some airlines that you just can't find in 1 to 500 scale. I still haven't found any custom airplane maker that makes the aircrafts in a quality that I find acceptable. I might be too strict here, but basically I would like them to look like if I had bought them in a store like from Hamper Wings or Sky 500. I don't know if that's even possible for a custom airline manufacturer to make. But if I can't get it in that quality, then I'd rather not have them. But yes, I would very much like to have some custom models. I just haven't found anyone who can make it in the quality that I would like it to be. The next question comes from Luke Wissing. Favorite plane? We've already answered that. A320. And favorite Hamper Wings? Good question. God, there's so many good aircraft models out there. And again, it's one of these questions where it's just really difficult to pick. So I think I helped myself out by taking the next question. Don't worry, I will answer your question as well. It's from JJW Antigua Aviation. I'll take a second question for now, which is, if you had to narrow it down to 3 models, what would they be? I think if I had to narrow it down to 3 aircraft models from Hamper Wings, the 737-700 60 years anniversary livery from Tarom is an excellent looking plane in real life, and it is a really good model aircraft from Hamper. I think it's one of the best models I have, simply because of the amount of detailing. It has just so many more details than is normal for Hamper Wings. It really looks good. Another aircraft model that has just blown me away in comparison to any other Hamper Wings models has been the 767-300F from A&A Cargo, which I did a review of this year. That model has also just been spectacularly good compared to any other Hamper Wings models. So these two definitely. I think from a sentimental point of view, I would probably choose what would be the first or second Hamper model I've ever gotten, which is a Maersk Air 737-700. It's an old generation model, so it's not because of the quality, it's simply just because of the airline and the livery. They're defunct now, so the airline doesn't exist anymore, but it was an airline that I was flying with quite many times when I was a kid, and I loved the airline, I loved the livery they had at that time, and I was lucky enough to get a model of them when I was a kid, and it's just a special model for me. It makes no sense from any other perspective other than a nostalgic viewpoint. So these 3 models, I guess. So now let me also answer the first question from JJW Antigua Aviation, which is, how long have you been collecting models? I'm not quite sure, because I don't really know when I started. I was a kid, so I've probably been like 5-6 years old when I got my first models, and very few of those survived. But the first Hamper models I got were the 767-300 from Scandinavian Airlines and the Maersk Air 737. And I probably have been around 8, 9, 10-ish. So if that was the start of really collecting, which is probably was because that was probably the time I really started appreciating them and also trying to treat them a little bit better. But now I'm 29, so that will be 20 years. Obviously 20 years with breaks, because I started collecting more seriously when I was a teenager for a few years, and then it died out. I didn't get anything for many years, and then I got back to it. I don't know, maybe I was 23, 24, maybe a little bit earlier, and then I have had it kind of going again with a few breaks here and there, where maybe for a whole year didn't get anything. And now, of course, since I have the channel, it's been going on more seriously again and a lot more active in getting new aircraft models. But yeah, I guess the start has been about 20 years ago. Now, not to make the Q&A too long, we have 2 more questions, but they are really good. The first one is coming from Everything Aviation. The question is, what is your favorite type of video to make? Excellent question. It might be a cliche, but all the videos I do, I enjoy. That's why I make them. But obviously, I think some highlights for me. I mean, the my collection series where I make videos about an entire airline, all my aircraft models from an airline. I really like these videos. They just take ages to make because I need to get all my aircraft models together. And it takes much longer to film, it takes longer to edit, it takes a bit longer to write the script, and so on and so on. But I do like this, but of course they are not as frequent. My review series is really the backbone of this channel, I guess, and I liked it when I did the first episode, and I still like it just as much, if not more. I really enjoy myself when I do these videos. I really like these videos, so review is definitely my favorite series. And it's the one that I'm most active with. So I guess that explains it. And then the last question in today's Q&A comes from Aryaman Marate. Again, apologies for butchering your name. But your question is really excellent, and that is, are you thinking of new stuff like growing the channel? So first, I've been really happy with the way it's going so far, how it's developed over this year. It's the channel is growing slowly but steadily, and I've enjoyed myself really a lot this year with this channel, and seeing it growing is also really nice. But I am planning on some new stuff for next year. So firstly, of course, I will continue the series that I've also been working on and showing this year, but I'm also trying some new stuff. I want to bring back the trip reports. I've gotten a better camera, which helps me quite much, because I know the trip reports I was doing, they were far too shaky. And that's kind of why I stopped doing them. But they're coming back. I have a really interesting trip coming up in actually just a few days. It will probably not come out before late January, February. Some time reasons I wouldn't be able to do it before, but that is coming up, and I have a really nice trip. Coming up actually, beginning of next year. So there should be some interesting trips coming up next year as well. And then another thing that I have been thinking of for some time, actually I talked about it pretty much a year ago, that I would be interested in going into some aviation related gaming, but I couldn't find any games that really triggered my interest, or that were, that you could bother spending more than 5 minutes on, and they were really not worth making any videos on. But that has changed. It's Tower 3D Pro, which is awesome. It looks really fun. I would love to play it. The problem is I work on Mac. Everything I do, I'm doing on Mac, and Mac is not for games, and it's not for this game. This game is not available for Mac. So I would like to buy a PC, a gaming PC, so I can start doing some of these videos. I will try to do it in the beginning of the year, but again, there are so many things I need to get done. It will all need to be kind of timed, but gaming videos is very high on my list. Aviation gaming videos, I should say. They're very high on my list for next year, so that will be something that will definitely come next year. I will do everything I can to get a nice PC and get that started up. So that's something that I'm quite happy to announce actually here. So yeah, I'm trying to improve on my videos, I'm trying to develop on my videos, and I try to bring some new stuff. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that new content and returning content next year as well. And yeah, with that, I would like to say thank you for watching. I guess it's been quite too long, this Q&A now, but it's been some nice questions, and I think it deserved some answers that weren't just yes and no. Thank you to all of you who have asked these questions. Thank you for participating in the Q&A. Thank you for watching this Q&A. See you soon in another video, hopefully, and goodbye.